Hello everyone and welcome back to Off Target with me, JME. So we'll just go into it. Biggest game of the weekend was yesterday, Sunday afternoon. End to end, both teams creating a lot of chances, could have gone either way, and a tightly contested game that ended 1-0. You've got to give credit to Gary O'Neill with the job that he's done at Wolves there, picking up a big 3 points at home to Sheffield United. But no, all jokes aside, obviously the biggest game was the Champions League final, Carabao Cup final between Liverpool and Chelsea yesterday. Obviously I joke again, but apparently since Liverpool have won it, it's now the biggest competition in the world again. But no. On a positive note about the Carabao Cup, listen, we all know it's not the most reputable competition on the planet. It's one of those competitions that you don't really care about, but when your team's in the final, you want to win it. It is as simple as that. So, credit to Liverpool. They got the job done in the end yesterday, after probably one of the most exciting it looked like it was going to be one of the most exciting 0-0s that we've seen. A lot of things to talk about, but yeah, like you say, when your team's in that final, especially against a team who's deemed as a rival, you want to win that match. And just like United last year, I enjoyed the fact that we beat Newcastle. Don't really particularly like Newcastle, don't particularly care about them really, just getting a little bit big for the boots, that's the way that they are. But same yesterday, Liverpool, Chelsea had a history of finals that were probably not the best, but two of the supposed top six teams going at it, and it was a pretty exciting affair to me. Liverpool deserved the win. I think I was really disappointed with Pochettino and the way he kind of set up his team to play yesterday, considering the strength of Liverpool, knowing that they had a lot of key players out. Don't get me wrong, the Liverpool team was still good enough to win. But I just think Chelsea seemed they wanted to play the same way as they did against City, kind of sit in and just counter on the break, and they just didn't show any sign of trying to control the game personally, for me. And it really was what Gary Neville summed it up perfectly when he was saying Klopp's kids versus the blue £1 billion bottle jobs. I'll probably have a lot of Chelsea fans having a go at me, but you can't be happy with that. You just can't. Don't get me wrong, okay, close. It was, Chelsea had some big chances. Keller had made a superb save from Palmer. The disallowed goal for Sterling. Conor Gallagher hit the post, I believe, in the second half. Chelsea had chances, but so did Liverpool. They hit the post as well. They had a questionable goal chalked off. I've noticed, obviously Liverpool fans right to feel aggrieved for that, but just so you know, United have had a few of them decisions go against us as well. Funnily enough, twice I think involving Harry Maguire, one at Turf Moor, and we had a weird offside decision this season at Craven Cottage. It's going to be one of those decisions where you won't see it again this season. Regardless if it happens, it just seems to be how it goes, and I can kind of see both sides of the argument. I can see why it was disallowed, and I can also see why it should still be a goal, because if you're going to look at these decisions every game, then, like I said, how many of them are going to get chalked off? They're just not. Just happened to be the cup final, and they've just made that decision. As a neutral, well, I say neutral, I was supporting Chelsea, which is probably more so why I'm a bit more angry about it. So they're going to get the full wrath of this little video that I'm making. I just still can't get over it, really. Just like the whole not trying to control the game. These, Chelsea, Pochettino come out and said, "Oh yeah, though this is a young team as well, and we're still developing." Yeah, okay, that's fine, but they've still got some winners in there. Enzo Fernandez won a World Cup. It's just that there's not enough talk, I don't think, about these players from the press. So you've got, let me just have a look what I've put down here. Enzo Fernandez, £106 million. Other than the odd goal I think he scored against lower league opposition in the Carling Cups or in the FA Cup, like what does he do? Because I'm yet to see it. I really am. Absolutely shocking again yesterday, brought nothing to the game. Caicedo, 115 million. That is looking like one of the worst. Well, he's probably the worst signing of the summer, which is unfortunate because I thought he was brilliant at Brighton. He's obviously not suited to this style of play that Pochettino's trying to play, because he's all over the shop. Foul. I can't believe he didn't get a yellow card at least yesterday, and I don't believe it was a red card either for that foul on Gravenberch. I do think it was accidental, but you've got to look at it as it's probably a booking, because he was a bit late, but he's not looking at the ball when he puts his foot down. So it's definitely a booking. I think he also did about 6 or 7 fouls, possibly. Unbelievable. But again, just goes to show, if you're fouling that much, you're just getting run ragged. And then you've got obviously Mykhailo Mudryk coming on, £89 million. And again, what has he shown in the Chelsea shirt this season? Nothing. Yeah, I think there's been a few moments of maybe where you think, oh yeah, he's got something. Other than that, horrendous. United get slammed for wasting money, but these Chelsea players or these Chelsea signings by the board, you're just starting to wonder. They're stuck with these for 7-8 years. Like, what if they don't improve? What then? They're in a world of trouble in the hope that these players hit potential and hit form. And I just, maybe not under this manager anyway, I don't see many of them hitting the heights. But like you say, Enzo coming up the back of winning a World Cup and everyone raving about how well he played, and he's just not shown anything, so you expect a player like him to come in and be able to probably run the show at a fee like that. Like there's a lot of pressure on Declan Rice going into Arsenal, 100 million. Like he's got to play well, and he's delivering, he's doing his job. But I honestly, I've watched Enzo enough this season to say that he's just absolutely nowhere near worth the money that was spent on him. He just really isn't. And to be honest, I know there's a lot of rumours banging about that he wants out and stuff, and I wouldn't blame him, because he's struggling in this struggling Chelsea team. So, I don't think he's got it in him to turn it around and want to be there. And then, in comparison, especially, that's another thing that annoyed me about the game. You're going into extra time, yeah, and Liverpool had 5 youth players on the bench who come on. Sorry, one started, Connor Bradley. Connor Bradley, 21, right? Then you got Bobby Clark, 19. James McConnell, 19. Jayden Dans, 18. His mum still buys his trousers. Jarell Quansah, 21. There's 5 players there on that list who've come through the academy, but they've come straight into that team and they bullied Chelsea in extra time. All of them. And what is going on? How has that even been allowed to happen? I think the most impressive thing about these kids coming on is that they didn't look out of place at all. They just seemed to seamlessly fit in, and they played some really good stuff. Weren't shy in tackling anyone, passing it around. That Dan's looked a bit of a threat up front, to be fair to him. A couple of chances. Petkovic, good save from his header. And then you're looking at Chelsea, with all this money spent, and they're absolutely knackered, and they've made subs and everything. I was just like, what am I watching, really? If I was a Chelsea fan, I would be absolutely going off my head. You've got the likes of Axel Disassi. Honestly, more like Axel Disaster. I saw Carragher compared him to John Terry after the Man City game because he made a few blocks. Like, what? He's been absolutely shocking all season, and I know that because I've had him in my fantasy team for about 8 weeks, and when I watch the games that he's played in, the amount of errors or poor positioning that he's been in, good grief, what is happening? And then you've got Ben Chilwell was captain yesterday. I believe he was captain anyway. And then he's getting rattled by these young lads who are coming on. Pushing and shoving Conor Bradley. Well, I'm not sure why Bradley got booked for that altercation, but, what are you doing? Where's this? It's just poor leadership. And that is, other than Thiago Silva, Chelsea don't have that experience in the team. And I really don't see where it's going to come from. If you've got players like Chilwell like that, and then obviously Reece James is the club captain, but he's not fit, we know that. He can't play more than 10 minutes without pulling something. So, there's a lot going wrong at Chelsea, and I don't see where it changes. I'll always say that they shouldn't have got rid of Graham Potter. If they're willing to give Pochettino all this time, then they should have given the same to Potter, because I guarantee that Chelsea would have been in a lot better position now if they'd have kept Potter. Even in the games when Potter was manager, they were actually creating chances. It was almost very similar to his Brighton team, where if they didn't take them, then they'd end up losing. But they'd create a lot of chances. But this Chelsea team is just not great going forward, and they're not great at all at the back. So it's going to be a real big summer. But back to it, I feel like there's not enough being said about all this money they've spent, the manager, how poor he is. But like I mentioned before, small clubs aren't relevant, and that's obvious, isn't it, in the media? Because as soon as there's an issue with Manchester United, bang, it's everywhere. Even when there's not an issue, there's an issue to be made somewhere. And I'll jump onto that game now. We absolutely deserved the loss. Fulham played us off the park, really. Dominated the game. Created more chances. Well, definitely more clear-cut chances. And we were just all over the shop. No cohesion. I think it was probably about, I reckon, 10, if not more, times where we were kind of left with 2 against 3 or 2 against 4 even sometimes. There was never, or even when it was 4 against 4 at the back, but we're just being countered to death through the midfield. And your first half, they were kind of turning us over. With maybe 10 minutes at the end of the first half, we got a bit more into it, hit the post, but they hit the post as well. And then second half, obviously Casemiro's got to go off with a head injury, which is fine. But then he brings on Eriksen and plays him as the lone defensive midfielder. And then we got tore apart even more. Just really struggling to understand all the tactical of that. I think this is the first time I've questioned. I really want to back the manager, but the first time I'm questioning whether he is the right man. We're looking at 18 months in. We're not seeing a real. Well, maybe this last few weeks we've probably seen a style of play which is literally all bomb forward and not get back, and just hope that we score and they don't. And one of my good friends likes to tell me that it was unsustainable, and yeah, okay, I'll probably have to agree that it was. It was always going to, if we didn't score, it was at one point, it was always going to come back and bite us on the arse, and it has against Fulham. I think another tactical thing that I thought was a bit odd was, you're chucking this young lad, forcing in, no fault of his own, but why are you then changing Garnacho and Rashford's positions when Garnacho's clearly been playing well on the right, creating from the right side? Rashford, albeit hasn't been in great form at all, but shows his best work off the left. And then you kind of chuck this Fortin in the deep end. He had an okay game. I wouldn't say he was anything sensational. I think there was an argument there to put McTominay in as a sort of a 9. We know he can get a goal. Just a lot of bizarre decisions, and obviously we're lucky to equalise, and then again we're bombing forward, and then you're leaving Adama. Maguire lets Adama turn him, and there's no open hell he's catching up with him. He couldn't outrun a snail, that man. And then again it's an overload on the left hand side, and Iwobi's banged one in the bottom corner in the 97th minute or whatever. So, and then we go Forest in the cup, which is obviously our only chance of any silverware. We lost to them away last time, and then we go to City away at the Etihad the week after with no players. And I think that's another thing. I think with the manager as well, I look at, don't get me wrong, we've had a lot of injuries, and that can really dampen the way that you play. But you look at the fact that Ange just come in at Spurs and just got them all playing this certain way. Emery came in at Villa and they all play like injuries or not, whoever comes in, it's still the same, nothing changes. Jurgen Klopp yesterday, he's bringing on these kids, and they're still playing this high intensity, high pressing football, 1 touch, 2 touch. We can't play that with our first 11. There was 4 or 5 times in the first half where we couldn't make a simple pass. 5-yard pass was kicked out of play because it was 2 or 3 yards behind or in front of the player. I'm just like, what is going on at this club at the moment? Honestly, like I am positive for the future with all the changes coming in, but it's the same cycle over and over and over again, and there's a real big decision to be made. Ratcliffe said the other day that coming top 4 or getting into the Champions League is a big priority, because that then gives us more play with financial fair play. So the question is, does he believe this manager's going to get him in the top 4? Possibly 5th, might get us in if we're lucky. But, we're now 8 points behind Villa again in 4th. It's a tough ask when you look at it, especially with the way we're playing. You just don't know what you're going to get, and like you say, we either score more than the other team or we will lose the game. So what do? Do you bank on Ten Hag to stick with him now and hope that he gets top 4, or do you change it now to try and get a positive impact going, even getting some sort of interim in maybe, because obviously there's not really many managers out there that would come straight into a job probably, or especially if you want that manager moving forward. So yeah, there's some real big decisions to be made there, and yeah, just very depressing Saturday afternoon it was. So I'll leave you with that. Thanks for listening. Again, please like, comment, share it about, tell your mates, tell everyone if you can, and let me know what you think. Thanks again for all your support. Take care.